Good morning, students. Welcome to NLP Digital Channel for the chapter revision controlling from class 12th. Students, you know that management is consisting a continuous process of planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling. When all the first four functions are performed, then a turn comes for controlling function. Controlling function is the last in the chain, but it is not the end of management. When we talk about controlling, controlling is a type of function which involves taking corrective actions. You know, children, whenever we have to perform any activity, any work, then there is a possibility of mistakes. And there is also a possibility of reoccurrence of those mistakes. So it is better to control them and get the goal as per the standards. So now we can understand the meaning of controlling, that it refers to the comparison of actual performance with planned performance and taking corrections in case of deviations between actual and planned performance. The reason for finding out deviation is also very important, and for your understanding, deviation means difference between actual performance and the standard performance. It means each and every worker performs differently in the organization, and it is the duty of a manager to measure the performance of each and every worker individually and take appropriate corrective actions as per their performance. Now the turn comes for understanding the characteristics of controlling. Controlling is a goal-oriented function. As you know, that it ensures that whatsoever we are doing as per the plans we have to achieve, as per the goals we have to work. Secondly, controlling is a pervasive function. Pervasiveness is always throughout the organization. It is required in both business and non-business organizations, or all levels of organization it exists. Next one is controlling is backward looking function. As you know, whenever we make the plans, we make them to achieve in future, and those plans are carried out for better performance. But when we achieve those goals, we compare them with our past records. It measures and compare the actual performance with the standards those we have already set in the past. It means it is the post-mortem of past activities. And next one is controlling is forward looking function. When we think about future, we think that it should be a better future, best future in our life. It means every organization is doing continuous review of performance for better performance in future. And when we take the corrections from the past experiences, then always we believe that we'll get the better future. That is why controlling is a forward looking function. The next turn comes for continuous process. Controlling is never ending. It is ongoing process, as it involves continuous review of performance. By revising the standards, by reviewing the standards, by seeing the standards, this we can do on continuous basis. Now, the next concept, that is importance of controlling. Whenever we talk about importance, significance, role, we think about the existence of that particular function. Why we need that? The question arises in our mind is why? And whenever controlling is performed, we are focusing always on our goals. So we can say that by continuous review of performance, by continuous review of standards, by taking corrective measures, each and every employee move towards achieving goals of an organization. And we can assume or we can believe that every attempt is made to keep the activities on the right track through controlling. Second one is judging accuracy of standards. When we are judging, we are always thinking whether these are right or wrong. And accuracy of standards is measured by reviewing the process, by reviewing the goals, whether they are achieved as per standards or not. Good control system always takes care for achieving goals and checking that standards are appropriate. And if there is a need to revise the standards, if there is a need to review the standards, that can be done only and only by controlling. Next comes making efficient use of resources. Students, whenever management aims at efficient use of resources, it always thinks for minimum wastage or focus on minimum cost for achieving the goals. Similarly, controlling also aims this because controlling is a part of management, and controlling aims to ensure that each and every activity is performed according to predetermined standards. And whenever we achieve the standards, we always focus on effectiveness and efficiency. Next point for importance of controlling is improving employee motivation. When we talk about morale, we talk about motivation. When we talk about motivation, we talk about internal feeling of each and every human being and his inspiration. Whenever standards are set, they are told to be achieved by the members. These members always motivated to achieve them in a best manner. So they give their best performance to achieve those goals. Next importance is ensuring order and discipline. As traffic police controls the traffic on the roads with the help of traffic lights and strict rules made by the traffic police. Similarly, an efficient control system creates an atmosphere of order and discipline by keeping a close check on the activities of all the workers, employees, or members in an organization. They lay down a code of conduct, rules, regulations to control the undesirable acts like theft, fraud, dishonesty, corruption, so many others. Last point of importance is facilitating coordination. As you know, coordination is an essence of management. Coordination cannot be avoided. We cannot ignore this particular activity in any department, in any member, or at any level. So each department and each individual is governed by predetermined standards because controlling is focusing on achieving goals by setting the predetermined standards and coordinating it with the members. So their controlling helps in facilitating coordination between individual goals and organizational goals. Next part of controlling is the process. Whenever we talk about process, we think about steps. And these steps are arranged in a sequence. We cannot ignore any step out of the process because the completion of process depends upon the performance of each and every step. And an ideal control system involves 5 steps. I will start with all. First 5 steps are the one number step is setting performance standard. Next, number 2 is measurement of actual performance. After that, step number 3, comparison of actual performance with standards. Number 4, analyzing deviations. And the last but not the least, step number 5, taking corrective actions. Students, now we'll understand each and every step in details. First one is setting performance standards. As you know that planning itself is a function that involves setting standards. Planning involves setting objective and controlling involves setting standards. Standards are taken out from the objectives. And these standards are quantitative as well as qualitative. Standards are the criteria against which actual performance is measured. You know, each and every worker is asked to do something, and that something is standard. They are asked to produce 10 units in a day. They are asked to go for sales of rupees so and so numbers. So they can be asked to do the work in quantitative manner, and they are given those standards in qualitative manner also, like they will work with higher motivation, morale, and they will try to improve the image of the company, they will improve goodwill, these all efforts. Because the quantitative standards can be expressed in terms of units like rupees, kilos, revenue in numbers, output in numbers can be done. And this is very important to tell each and every worker that what are the standards of their particular department or their organization. For example, production departments can set the standards of target output in 10,000 units in a month, and marketing department can set up the standards of sales volume, maybe in units or maybe in rupees. Now, second step of controlling, that is measurement of actual performance. Students, this is very, very important that each and every worker's performance should be measured. Otherwise, there will be lack of motivation. When their measurement takes place, they work in actual manner and their actual performance, whether as per standards or below standards or above standards, they have done. Accordingly, it can be measured, and measurement can be done with few methods. We can prepare reports, we can see personally, personal observation can be done by the superiors. Ratio analysis is also very common technique to measure their performance. And graphic presentations, any measure we can adopt to check the performance of each and every individual in an organization. When measurement take place, the next step is followed, that is comparison of actual performance with standards. And whenever we compare these actual performance with standard, that is to be done in the same terms, in the same value which is set in the standards. If it is in quantitative terms, then comparison can be done in the same quantitative terms. If it was in qualitative terms, then measurement took place in qualitative terms. And comparison in quantitative terms become more easier than the qualitative terms. Now very important step of controlling comes, that is analyzing deviation. Students, here we have to focus our attention on the meaning of deviation, which I have already explained. It is a difference between actual performance and the standards. You know, each and every worker is asked to produce units, asked to do the work as per the standards, and standards give them the number to achieve, and that numbers or quantitative output can be measured. After measurement, there may be a difference, and that difference between actual performance and standard performance is called deviation. And when we talk about deviations, there are two types of deviations. One is that we can accept and tolerable. There is no need to take action against those deviations which are within the range of acceptable limit. And the other one is that is beyond our acceptable range. We cannot accept that deviation. And those deviations are known as insignificant deviations or critical deviations. These deviations needed to be informed to the top management. Students, whenever an organization tries to control everything, they reach to achieve nothing. This is the fact. Every manager has asked to focus on critical points. All deviations should not be taken care of. This is what controlling says. Controlling tells that a manager who will be busy checking each and every performance deviation will be in a mess. He will be tired. He will be wasting his energies and time. So it is advised that first CPC should be checked, KRAs should be find out, and then management by exception should be followed. Management should be given information about those deviations which are very critical and should be checked by manager as well as top management. Otherwise, all deviations should not be given in the notice of management. So there are two parts of analyzing deviation. First, critical point control. It means management or its control system should focus on key result areas, and these areas are very critical to the overall performance of the organization. For example, if one or two students in the total lot of class 12th are going to fail in finals, their performance is too bad, then it will spoil the result of the whole organization. In that case, those two students should be checked personally by top management and control by exception should be followed. Then only the overall result will be best for that particular school. Now if we say what is management by exception, that I have already told you that when a manager gives these deviations which are very critical in the notice of top management, that is known as control or management by exception. We can say the deviations which are beyond the acceptable range are critical deviations, and these deviations should be controlled by top management. Now, the main and important step of controlling process is taking corrective action. As you know, you have find out critical deviations, you have checked KRAs, and now you have given all these problems, these all deviations in the notice of top management. Then there is a need to take corrective action, and that corrective action can be taken for those deviations which are not in the acceptable range. If we are taking action for those deviations which are within the range, then we are wasting our time. We are, as a manager, not doing effective controlling. Now, 2 points should be taken care. Number one, there is no need to take corrective action if deviations are within acceptable limits. And second one is, there is a need to take exceptional deviations in the notice of management, and corrective actions are required for those deviations which are beyond the acceptable range. For example, if we find defective material is the reason for poor performance, then possible corrective action can be taken to change that quality specifications of material. So children, this is all about controlling. If a manager wants effective control, ideal control, best control, then he should be very, very careful about all these steps, specifically step number 4, analyzing deviations. Thank you, children. I hope you have understood the concepts of this particular chapter.